Welcome to this guide on building an emergency fund that actually protects you. If you've ever found yourself in a financial jam scrambling to cover an unexpected expense or feeling the pressure of a sudden job loss, you already know how crucial it is to have a financial cushion. The anxiety that accompanies such moments can be overwhelming. It's that feeling of being caught off guard, not knowing how you'll make ends meet, and feeling completely vulnerable. Maybe you've had to dip into your credit card, which only makes the situation worse, as you now have to worry about high interest piling up. Or maybe you've had to borrow money from friends or family, which can sometimes lead to awkward situations and strained relationships. Or worse yet, you fall behind on bills, making the situation even more stressful and difficult to recover from. These are all signs that an emergency fund, your first line of defense against financial chaos, wasn't in place when you needed it most. And let's face it, in the midst of a crisis, relying on credit cards, loans, or favors from loved ones only adds more weight to an already heavy situation. The peace of mind that comes from knowing that you have your own resources to fall back on cannot be understated. That's the role of an emergency fund. It serves as your financial lifeline when the unexpected happens. That's why in this audiobook we're going to explore exactly how to build an emergency fund that not only protects you, but also gives you the peace of mind to face life's uncertainties without stress or panic. Having a solid emergency fund isn't just about surviving an unexpected expense, it's about thriving despite life's curveballs. We'll dive deep into why an emergency fund is absolutely critical to your financial security, how much you need to save, and the practical strategies you can use to build your fund quickly and efficiently. The journey to financial security doesn't require drastic sacrifices or big leaps. It's about steady, sustainable progress. Money management isn't about getting rich quickly. It's about making small, smart decisions every day that add up over time. And the key to starting that journey is having an emergency fund that works for you. This fund gives you the foundation you need to tackle life's uncertainties without losing sleep over them. Having money saved for unexpected events allows you to take charge of the situation instead of letting it take charge of you. Whether you're starting from scratch or you already have some savings but want to boost your emergency fund, the lessons in this audiobook will help you build a system that ensures you're always prepared for the unexpected. We'll go step by step explaining how to assess your current financial situation, set realistic goals, and develop habits that will help you grow your savings consistently over time. These actionable strategies are designed to work for anyone regardless of income level or financial background. As you move through this audiobook, you'll also discover that building an emergency fund is a journey, not a sprint. It doesn't require a massive amount of money up front. In fact, starting small is a great way to gain momentum and build confidence. Once you begin, you'll see that the process isn't nearly as daunting as it seems. The key is to make steady progress and stay consistent. Every small deposit is a step closer to securing your financial future. By the end of this guide, you'll feel more confident in your ability to manage your finances and take control of your future. No longer will you feel powerless when the unexpected happens. You'll know that you have the financial cushion you need to handle life's challenges, big or small. Building an emergency fund is more than just a financial goal. It's a way to empower yourself to live life on your own terms, free from the constant worry of what might happen next. You'll have a step-by-step plan for building an emergency fund that doesn't just exist as an ideal, but becomes a tangible part of your financial life. An emergency fund isn't just a luxury or a far-off dream. It's a real achievable goal that you can reach. It's a goal that will provide you with the security and stability to pursue your larger financial dreams without fear. So take a deep breath and get ready to take control of your financial future. The journey starts now, and by the end of this audiobook, you'll have the tools and strategies to build an emergency fund that truly works for you. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Why you need an emergency fund. Let's start with the most fundamental question that many people overlook or put off. Why do you need an emergency fund? On the surface, it seems like a straightforward concept. You need money for emergencies, right? You expect that there will be times when you have unexpected costs, and it's always a good idea to have savings available. But if it's so simple, why do so many people struggle with it? Why do so many of us avoid setting aside money for a rainy day? Why can't you just rely on credit or pay as you go when life throws its curveballs? The truth is, an emergency fund is not just a nice-to-have, it's a critical financial safety net. It gives you the ability to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs without derailing your entire financial plan. Let's take a deeper look at why having an emergency fund is crucial for your financial stability and peace of mind. The unpredictability of life. Life is unpredictable. No matter how well we plan, things will inevitably go wrong. This is just part of the human experience. One day, everything is running smoothly, you're at work. Everything is on track, bills are being paid on time, and you're managing your finances. Then suddenly you receive an unexpected expense or a setback that threatens to throw your entire financial world off balance. A major medical emergency, a car accident, or your air conditioning unit breaking down in the middle of summer. These things can all happen without warning. For many people, these types of financial surprises trigger panic. Without savings, your options become limited. You could turn to credit cards, take out loans, or even borrow money from friends or family. But this adds stress, debt, and uncertainty to an already difficult situation. It can also lead to a cycle of borrowing and debt that's difficult to escape. An emergency fund serves as a cushion during these moments. Instead of scrambling to come up with money, you can take a deep breath and handle the situation with confidence. It's your buffer against the chaos that life can throw your way. With this safety net in place, you no longer need to rely on high-interest credit cards or personal loans when emergencies arise. Think of your emergency fund as an insurance policy. Not the type you pay premiums for, but one you pay into directly. You own it, you control it, and it can be there for you in times of need, without the delays or approval processes associated with traditional insurance policies. What happens without an emergency fund? Imagine this scenario. Your car breaks down unexpectedly. It's something you've been dreading. But when it happens, you're faced with a $1, $200 bill for repairs. You don't have an emergency fund and your savings are practically non-existent. What do you do? Without an emergency fund, your immediate choices might be limited to borrowing money using credit cards or even skipping the repair entirely, which might lead to bigger problems down the road. Using a credit card could mean accumulating high-interest debt that compounds over time, making it harder to pay off. And borrowing money from family or friends could strain relationships, leaving you feeling guilty or stressed. But with an emergency fund, things would be different. You could immediately use your emergency savings to cover the repair costs without worrying about high-interest debt. You wouldn't need to panic or make rushed decisions. You could take control of the situation and move forward with peace of mind. This is the power of having an emergency fund. It allows you to face life's financial surprises with calm and clarity. Financial stability and peace of mind. One of the most underrated benefits of having an emergency fund is the peace of mind it provides. Knowing that you have a financial cushion to fall back on when things go wrong can significantly reduce stress and anxiety. Money problems are one of the leading causes of stress for many people. The constant worry about how to make ends meet when unexpected expenses arise can lead to sleepless nights, difficulty concentrating at work, and tension in relationships. When you don't have an emergency fund, every unexpected cost feels like an overwhelming crisis. A trip to the emergency room, a broken appliance, or even a minor home repair can lead to major stress and financial uncertainty. However, when you've built up an emergency fund, those surprises no longer trigger panic. Instead, you have the resources to deal with them calmly, making you less stressed and more confident in your ability to manage your finances. You may be wondering, how exactly does an emergency fund help in this area? The answer lies in the mental and emotional relief that comes from having financial security. With an emergency fund, you can handle unexpected expenses without sacrificing your long-term financial goals. Instead of feeling like you're always one emergency away from disaster, You can feel secure in knowing that you have the tools to deal with what life throws your way. The long-term benefits of an emergency fund. An emergency fund isn't just about getting through a single crisis. It's about building long-term financial health and stability. The peace of mind and financial security that come with an emergency fund free you to focus on other financial goals like paying off debt, saving for a home, or investing in your future. Building an emergency fund creates momentum in your financial life. It provides the foundation for all other aspects of money management. Once you have a solid emergency fund in place, you can start tackling other financial challenges with confidence. You can focus on paying off high-interest debt or building your retirement savings without constantly worrying about what will happen if something goes wrong. Having an emergency fund also helps you to avoid financial band-aids. Without an emergency fund, you might find yourself using your credit cards to cover expenses, taking out loans, or borrowing from others. While these may seem like quick fixes, they only push you deeper into debt, which makes it harder to achieve your financial goals in the future. What, exactly, is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is simply money set aside specifically to cover unplanned expenses or emergencies. It's designed to be used in situations that disrupt your regular income or expenses. Things like medical emergencies. The unexpected doctor visits, emergency room bills, or sudden health conditions that require treatment or surgery. Car repairs. If your car breaks down unexpectedly or needs urgent repairs. Home repairs. Major home expenses like fixing the roof, replacing a broken furnace, or repairing an essential appliance. Job loss. If you lose your job or experience a gap in employment, an emergency fund can help cover living expenses until you find new work. Urgent travel. Sometimes life throws a curveball, and you may need to travel quickly for family or personal reasons, and an emergency fund can help cover these costs. The important thing to remember is that an emergency fund is not for vacations, new clothes, or gadgets. It's reserved for life's unplanned and unavoidable situations. It should be easily accessible, not tied up in investments or retirement accounts, but in a safe savings account where you can access it when needed. How much should you save? One of the most frequently asked questions when it comes to emergency funds is, how much should I save? While there's no one-size-fits-all answer, a general guideline is to aim for saving at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. The purpose of this goal is to ensure that you have enough money to cover essential expenses, like rent, utilities, food, and transportation for several months if something were to happen like a job loss or a major medical emergency. The 3 to 6 months rule is a helpful benchmark because it provides enough cushion to get you through most financial setbacks. However, the actual amount will vary depending on your unique circumstances. For example, if you're single and have relatively low expenses, you might feel comfortable with a smaller emergency fund. If you have a family or are self-employed, you may want to aim for a larger fund. The key is to make sure that your emergency fund is enough to give you peace of mind and financial stability in case something unexpected occurs. Starting your emergency fund. Building your emergency fund doesn't happen overnight, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. The first step is to set a realistic goal for yourself, whether it's $500, $1,000, or more. Once you have a target, break it down into smaller, manageable steps. You can start by setting aside a portion of your income each month until you reach your goal. Even if you can only save a small amount at first, remember that every little bit counts. The more consistent you are, the faster your emergency fund will grow. Automating your savings is another great way to ensure that you're consistently building your emergency fund. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your savings account each month. This way, you don't have to think about it. It happens automatically. Out of sight, out of mind, and it makes it easier to stay on track. Conclusion: your path to financial security. Building an emergency fund is one of the most important steps you can take toward achieving financial security. It allows you to handle the unexpected with confidence, reduces stress, and helps you stay on track with your long-term financial goals. The beauty of an emergency fund is that it gives you freedom. the freedom to handle life's curveballs without going into debt or losing control of your finances. Start small, stay consistent, and remember that building an emergency fund is a journey, not a race. By making saving for emergencies a priority, you're investing in your future and giving yourself the tools to thrive no matter what life throws your way. Now that you understand why an emergency fund is essential, it's time to take action. Start building your safety net today. The peace of mind that comes with being prepared is worth every step you take toward securing your financial future. Chapter 2. How much should you save? When it comes to building an emergency fund, one of the most common questions people ask is, how much should I save? It's a great question, and it's something that many people find themselves grappling with. The reality is there isn't a simple one-size-fits-all answer. The amount you need to save depends largely on your personal financial circumstances, your lifestyle, the size of your family, and the type of emergencies you anticipate. In this chapter, we will explore the fundamental guidelines for saving for an emergency fund, how to customize those guidelines based on your unique needs, and practical steps you can take to begin saving today. Let's begin by discussing a widely recognized benchmark, the 3 to 6 month rule, and why it's so often recommended. We'll also dive into how to personalize your savings goal and how to get started no matter where you're starting from. The 3 to 6 month rule, a standard guideline. The most commonly recommended guideline for how much you should save for an emergency fund is 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. This rule has become the gold standard in personal finance, but it's important to understand why it exists and what it actually means. Living expenses refer to the essential costs you need to cover every month in order to maintain your lifestyle, including rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, debt payments, and any other non-negotiable expenses. These are the things you need in order to survive day to day. An emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of these expenses provides a cushion for you to weather unexpected financial storms without resorting to credit cards, loans, or other sources of debt. So why the 3 to 6 month rule? Here's the reasoning. 3 months of living expenses. The 3-month guideline is sufficient for many people, especially those who have relatively stable jobs, live in lower-cost areas, and don't have significant financial burdens. If you lose your job or face an emergency, having 3 months' worth of living expenses allows you to take a deep breath, search for a new job, and recover without immediate financial stress. In this case, 3 months should give you enough time to get back on your feet. 6 months of living expenses. On the other hand, 6 months of savings offers an extra layer of protection, particularly for people who have less stable or irregular incomes, or who face larger financial obligations like supporting a family or dealing with high living costs. A 6-month emergency fund is ideal for individuals who are self-employed freelancers or those in industries where layoffs or slowdowns can happen more frequently. Having 6 months of savings gives you ample time to adjust to financial challenges without feeling forced to make hasty decisions. The reality is that most people tend to overestimate their financial security and underestimate the potential costs of an emergency. For example, someone living paycheck to paycheck may assume they're fine only to find that a medical bill or an unexpected repair can throw them into panic mode because they lack a financial cushion. A fully stocked emergency fund will keep you from falling into debt traps and reduce the long-term effects of an unexpected setback. The peace of mind that comes with an emergency fund. The most important benefit of having an emergency fund is peace of mind. Imagine for a moment the mental freedom that comes with knowing that you have the financial resources to manage life's curveballs. Without this peace of mind, any unexpected event, whether it's a flat tire, an expensive doctor's bill, or an unexpected job loss, becomes a full-blown crisis. For many, financial stress is one of the leading causes of anxiety. The mental and emotional strain that comes from worrying about money is real, and it can have a significant impact on both your well-being and your relationships. But when you have an emergency fund, you remove that constant worry. You know that no matter what happens, you're not one emergency away from financial ruin. For example, let's say you unexpectedly lose your job. Without an emergency fund, you might panic. Your immediate reaction could be to start applying for any job available, even if it's not the right fit, simply to make sure you're paying the bills. On the other hand, with an emergency fund, you have breathing room time to evaluate your options, search for a job that fits your skills and aspirations, and make the right career decisions. This peace of mind not only helps you make better financial decisions, but also improves your overall well-being. What exactly counts as living expenses? Before we can even determine how much to save, we need to first clarify what constitutes living expenses. It's important to understand that living expenses include the essential costs of maintaining your lifestyle. They are the baseline, non-negotiable expenses that you would still have to pay even if you were unable to earn an income for a period of time. Here are some common examples of living expenses: housing, rent or mortgage payments, property taxes and homeowners or renters insurance. Your primary living situation is typically the most significant portion of your living expenses. Utilities: water, electricity, gas, trash removal, and other essential services that keep your home functional. Food, grocery costs, meals at home, and necessary household supplies. Transportation, car payments, insurance, gas, public transportation, or other essential travel-related expenses. Healthcare insurance premiums, out-of-pocket medical expenses, prescriptions, and any necessary health-related costs. Debt payments, minimum payments on loans, credit cards, student loans, and other financial obligations. Child care or dependent care. If you have children or dependents, these costs should also be included. Non-essential expenses like entertainment, eating out, subscriptions, vacations, or luxury purchases should not be considered part of your emergency fund goal. These are discretionary spending that can be adjusted, reduced, or eliminated in an emergency. Your emergency fund is meant to cover essentials, those things you cannot live without, tailoring the 3 to 6 month rule to your situation. While the 3 to 6 month guideline is a great starting point, everyone's financial situation is different. Let's look at how you might adjust this rule depending on your unique circumstances. 1. Single individuals or couples without dependents. If you're single or you and your partner don't have any dependents, you likely have fewer living expenses to cover. Your emergency fund may not need to be as large as someone with children, a mortgage, or additional financial responsibilities. In this case, you might find that a 3-month emergency fund is sufficient. For example, if your monthly living expenses are $2,500, you would want to save $7,500 for emergencies. This amount should provide you with enough of a cushion to cover typical financial setbacks. However, if your income is irregular or you live in an area with a high cost of living, it might make sense to aim for a 6-month fund. The key is to have enough savings to comfortably cover your basic needs for an extended period of time without taking on debt or resorting to extreme measures. 2. Families or households with dependents. If you have children or other dependents, your living expenses are likely to be higher and your emergency fund should be larger. For a family, the emergency fund might need to be anywhere from 3 to 6 months of living expenses, depending on your monthly obligations. For example, if your family's living expenses total $5,000 per month, you should aim for an emergency fund of at least $15,000 for a 3-month cushion, or up to $30,000 for a 6-month cushion. This larger emergency fund will allow you to navigate through tough times, especially if you're the primary breadwinner. In case of job loss or illness, you'll have enough saved to ensure that your family's needs are still met while you recover or look for new income sources. 3. Self-employed or freelancers. If you are self-employed or a freelancer, your income is likely more unpredictable than someone with a stable salary. Inconsistent income means that building a larger emergency fund should be a priority. As a freelancer or entrepreneur, you might experience fluctuating income streams or even periods of no income at all. Therefore, it's advisable to aim for a 6-month emergency fund at the very least. This gives you a buffer during lean times and provides peace of mind while you work on bringing in new clients or securing new projects. For self-employed individuals, 6 months of living expenses is more than just a safety net. It's a critical part of your financial planning strategy. It ensures that you can continue to pay essential expenses while you rebuild your income stream. How to start building your emergency fund. So now that you have an idea of how much to save, let's dive into how to actually start building your emergency fund. Where do you begin? How do you make progress? Especially if you're starting from scratch. Set a realistic goal. Start with a small goal. If you're just getting started, aim for a $500 to $1,000 goal. This will cover smaller emergencies like medical copays or car repairs. Once you've hit that target, you can increase your goal and work toward 3 months of expenses. Review your budget. Take a close look at your monthly budget. What are your essential expenses and where can you cut back? Look for areas where you can trim discretionary spending, e.g., dining out, subscription services, etc., and redirect that money into your emergency fund. Automate your savings. Set up automatic transfers to your savings account. By automating your savings, you ensure that you're consistently contributing to your emergency fund without having to think about it. Set a reasonable amount to start with and increase it as your financial situation improves. Use windfalls wisely. Any extra money, such as tax refunds, bonuses, or gifts, can be funneled directly into your emergency fund. Instead of spending this unexpected income on non-essential items, direct it toward building your savings. Be consistent and patient. The key to building an emergency fund is consistency. Start small, stay committed, and gradually increase the amount you save as your income grows. Remember that every little bit helps, and with time your emergency fund will grow into the security net you need. How much you should save in your emergency fund depends on your unique situation. But a good rule of thumb is to aim for 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. Use the guidelines outlined in this chapter as a starting point, but remember that your specific needs may vary based on your family size, income stability, and cost of living. The most important thing is to get started. Whether you're saving $50 or $500 a month, building an emergency fund is a process that takes time. By setting a clear goal, reviewing your budget, and automating your savings, you can start building an emergency fund that will protect you in times of financial uncertainty. Keep in mind that building this fund is not just about being prepared for emergencies. It's about giving yourself peace of mind and the ability to live life without constantly worrying about what happens when life goes off course. Take small steps. Stay consistent, and in time you'll have the security you need to face life's inevitable ups and downs with confidence. Chapter 3. Building your emergency fund. Where to start? Now that we've covered why an emergency fund is essential and how much you should save, it's time to tackle the practicalities of how to actually build it. This is where the rubber meets the road. Building an emergency fund is not a one-time task. It's a process that requires discipline, consistency, and a clear strategy. The good news is that anyone can build an emergency fund with the right mindset, planning, and commitment. In this chapter, we'll walk through the essential steps to get started on your emergency fund. You'll learn how to evaluate your current financial situation, set realistic savings goals, and create a long-term plan for consistent saving. Remember, the most important thing is that you start small. Steps taken consistently lead to big results. Assessing your financial situation. The first step to building your fund. Before you dive into saving, the first thing you need to do is take a good hard look at your current financial situation. Building an emergency fund doesn't just mean saving. It's about understanding your income, expenses, and financial priorities. Start by reviewing your monthly income. This is the money you earn after taxes, whether it's from a full-time job, part-time work, side gigs, or passive income. Understanding your income is crucial because it tells you how much you can realistically allocate toward your emergency fund. Next, take a deep dive into your monthly expenses. Write down all your regular expenses, things you must pay every month such as rent or mortgage payments, utilities, electricity, gas, water, insurance premiums, health, car, home, transportation costs, car payments, gas, bus fares, debt payments, credit cards, student loans, personal loans, groceries, and basic household needs. These are your fixed costs expenses that remain relatively constant, month to month. However, don't forget about variable costs, things that change but are still necessary, such as food, gas or transportation, health-related expenses, copays, prescriptions, entertainment, and dining out. Knowing where your money is going each month will give you a clear picture of how much you spend and what areas you might be able to cut back on in order to save more. Use a budgeting app or spreadsheet to keep track of your spending. This will help you stay accountable and pinpoint areas where you might be able to trim costs. Creating a basic budget. The foundation of your emergency fund. Creating a budget is one of the most important things you can do to help you reach your financial goals. A budget ensures that you're managing your money intentionally. Without one, it's easy to spend money on non-essential things without thinking about long-term financial security. To build your budget, categorize your monthly expenses into needs and wants. Your needs are things like rent, utilities, groceries, and debt payments. These are the things you must have in order to survive. On the other hand, your wants are the things you can live without: dining out, subscription services, shopping for clothes, entertainment, and other discretionary spending. By organizing your expenses in this way, you can clearly see where your money is going. Once you have a solid understanding of how much money you have coming in and how much you need for your essential expenses, you can determine how much you can afford to set aside for savings each month. Starting small. Every little bit counts. Now that you've reviewed your finances and set up a budget, it's time to get started on your emergency fund. It's tempting to feel like you have to save large amounts all at once, but remember that starting small is perfectly fine. The key to building an emergency fund is consistency and patience. Let's say you can only afford to save $50 per month at first. It might not seem like much, but think about the power of small, consistent contributions. Over the course of a year, $50 per month adds up to $600, and that's already a solid emergency fund for smaller, unexpected expenses like a car repair or a medical bill. This is the foundation that you'll continue to build upon. Start by setting a small, manageable goal. If you're starting from zero, aim for a $500 to $1,000 emergency fund to cover small emergencies. Once you've saved that amount, then you can work toward a bigger goal, such as saving 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Remember, the goal is progress, not perfection. It's better to save small amounts consistently than to try and save large sums all at once and risk burning out. Focus on building the habit of saving first, and let the results follow. Cutting back on non-essential expenses to boost your savings. Building an emergency fund often requires finding ways to free up more money from your existing budget. This is where cutting back on non-essential spending can really help. Discretionary expenses are the costs that are not essential for your survival. While they can certainly make life more enjoyable, they are also the first things you can scale back on when you need extra cash to build your savings. Start by looking at areas where you can reduce spending without sacrificing too much quality of life. Here are a few areas where people often find they can cut back. Dining out. Eating out at restaurants can be fun, but it can also be expensive. Instead of dining out 3 or 4 times a week, reduce it to once or twice. You can even cook meals at home that replicate your favorite restaurant dishes. Over time, these small reductions in dining costs can add up significantly. Subscriptions and memberships. Many people are paying for subscriptions or memberships they don't use regularly, like streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, etc., magazine subscriptions, or gym memberships. Audit your subscriptions and cancel any you don't use regularly. For example, if you only use one streaming service, cancel the others. By making these small adjustments, you can free up an extra $50 to $100 a month for your emergency fund, entertainment, and non-essential purchases. Instead of spending money on movies, concerts, or expensive hobbies, consider alternative activities that are less costly or free. You can enjoy a night in with friends or family, take a walk, go hiking, or explore your city's free events. The goal is to make intentional choices about how you spend your discretionary income, putting the money you save toward your emergency fund. By cutting back in these areas, you can find extra money to direct into your emergency fund without feeling deprived. Automating your savings. A strategy for consistency. One of the best ways to ensure that you're consistently contributing to your emergency fund is by automating your savings. Setting up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings account is a simple but powerful way to make saving a habit. Let's say you decide to automate a $100 transfer every month from your checking account to your savings account. Once it's set up, you don't have to think about it. It will happen automatically, and that money will be out of sight and out of mind. You won't be tempted to spend it, and you'll consistently grow your emergency fund over time. Automating your savings also helps you prioritize your emergency fund by treating it like any other fixed expense, just like rent or utilities. Once the money is transferred, you won't have to decide whether or not you want to save it. You've already committed to it. You can even automate your savings for larger amounts if you can afford to do so. If you get a raise at work or receive an unexpected windfall, consider increasing the automated amount to take full advantage of your increased income. Overcoming obstacles and staying motivated. Building an emergency fund is a long-term goal that requires consistency. It's easy to get discouraged when your progress feels slow or when life gets in the way. There will be obstacles, unexpected expenses, competing financial goals, or times when it feels impossible to save. But that's okay. The key is staying motivated and adjusting as needed. Here are a few strategies to help you overcome obstacles and stay on track. 1. Set clear milestones. It's easy to lose motivation when the goal feels too far away. Set small, achievable milestones for yourself along the way. For example, aim to save $500 in the next 3 months, and then celebrate when you hit that goal. Once you hit that milestone, set the next goal, perhaps $1,000 in 6 months. Each time you hit a milestone, take a moment to celebrate your progress, no matter how small. This will help you stay focused and energized to keep going. 2. Visualize your success. Visualization is a powerful motivator. Imagine yourself in a situation where something unexpected happens. Maybe a medical emergency, car trouble, or a job loss. Now imagine being able to handle that situation calmly because you have the financial resources to cover it. The sense of security and peace of mind that comes with having a fully funded emergency fund is worth every bit of effort you put into building it. 3. Reassess your plan if needed. Life is unpredictable, and there may be times when you need to adjust your plan. If an unexpected expense arises or you face a temporary setback, reassess your goals and adjust your timeline accordingly. Remember that building an emergency fund is a journey, and the most important thing is to stay on course, even if you need to slow down or take a detour for a while. The key is not to give up. 4. Celebrate your progress. When you save for something important, you are investing in your future. Celebrate each step along the way. Whether it's a small win or a big milestone, acknowledging your progress will help keep you motivated and inspired to continue saving. Conclusion: stay consistent. Stay focused. Building an emergency fund is a journey of consistency and discipline. It might feel overwhelming at first, but if you break it down into small, manageable goals, it becomes much more achievable. Remember, you don't have to save large amounts all at once. Small steps taken consistently will get you there. By tracking your spending, cutting back on non-essential expenses, automating your savings, and staying motivated, you can create a safety net that will protect you from life's inevitable curveballs. Stay focused, stay consistent, and in time, your emergency fund will be your financial cushion, ready to protect you when you need it most. Building an emergency fund is not just about saving for a rainy day. While that's a part of it, it's about so much more. It's about giving yourself the freedom and peace of mind to handle life's curveballs without being thrown off course. Life can throw unexpected challenges at you at any time, whether it's a medical emergency, a job loss, a car repair, or an urgent home expense. Without an emergency fund, you might find yourself scrambling for solutions, relying on credit cards, loans, or borrowing from friends and family. But when you have an emergency fund, you give yourself the ability to bounce back quickly and confidently. You can face any situation with the knowledge that you are financially prepared. An emergency fund isn't just about financial security. It's about emotional and mental peace as well. Think about the stress that comes with worrying about paying bills when an unexpected event occurs. The anxiety of scrambling for money, relying on debt, or cutting back on essential needs can be overwhelming. Having that cushion of savings gives you control over your financial life, and it alleviates the stress that comes with not being prepared. Remember, building an emergency fund takes time. This isn't something that will happen overnight. It's a process that requires consistency, discipline, and patience. It's easy to get discouraged if you don't see immediate results, but the key is to keep going. Start small, stay disciplined, and stay focused on your goals. Even if you can only save a little bit each month, those small contributions will add up over time. Eventually, you'll have a fund that covers 3 to 6 months of living expenses, and you'll experience a level of security you've never had before. The security that comes with having an emergency fund in place is invaluable. It's a game changer in terms of how you can approach life. Instead of living in fear of the unexpected, you'll feel empowered to handle whatever comes your way. And this sense of financial security isn't just about emergencies. It can give you the confidence to take risks in other areas of your life, whether it's making career changes, moving to a new city, or pursuing your dreams. Building your emergency fund is the first step toward creating a life of financial independence and peace of mind. It's the foundation upon which you can build other financial goals like saving for retirement, buying a home, or starting a business. With a solid emergency fund in place, you can move forward with clarity and confidence, knowing that your financial future is in your hands. You have the power to take control of your finances. By building your emergency fund, you are taking charge of your future and ensuring that you are prepared for anything life throws at you. It's not about being perfect. It's about being prepared. Even when life throws the unexpected your way, you'll be ready. You'll be able to weather the storm and come out stronger on the other side. So keep pushing forward. Stay consistent with your saving habits. It might take time, but you'll get there one small step at a time. Soon you'll have the confidence and security that come with knowing you're prepared for whatever comes your way. And when you have that peace of mind, the rest of your financial journey will feel much more manageable and attainable. This is your moment to start. Building your emergency fund is the first step toward a secure and prosperous financial future. Don't wait for an emergency to happen. Start today and take control of your financial life. The freedom and peace of mind that come with having a financial safety net will be worth every effort you put into building it.